Welcome back, everybody, to the KC Sports Report. I'm your host, Michael Darcy, and today I have the luxury to be joined by my producer, Dylan Michaels, here at Sports Radio 810 WHB, and we're going to give you our thoughts on the upcoming matchup between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Arizona Cardinals. Finally, football is back. Week 1 of the NFL season starts tomorrow for the Kansas City Chiefs, and Dylan, I don't know about you, but I'm ready for football.
I've been waiting far too long, and I felt like I had to wait a little longer after Thursday night's blowout, but I did get to see a half of competitive football, which was nice, so I got a little taste, but I am ready for the slate tomorrow.
And I'm just so excited because, dare I say, this is going to be one of the more exciting Chiefs teams that we've seen in recent memory, just because, in years prior, you've had the staple guys like Tyrann Mathieu and Tyreek Hill, and those guys aren't here anymore. And you've got a completely different Chiefs wide receiver core. You've got a new defense that's revamped with rookies like Brian Cook, George Karlaftis, Trent McDuffie. So I think that we're just coming into this first week with a lot of question marks and a lot of anticipation of what could be. And I think that coming into this game, the Chiefs are favored to win. But I think that you cannot take the Arizona Cardinals lightly. They are a good football team. Granted, they are without their star wide receiver, DeAndre Hopkins, for 6 games. He got suspended for PEDs. But Kyler Murray got paid in the offseason. Cliff Kingsbury has been a surprisingly good head coach as of late. And I think that he's going to have his team ready to play the Chiefs. The question is going to be, is he going to be able to out-prepare Andy Reid? And especially coming off of a bye, which this is the first game, so Andy Reid has had months on end to prepare for this game. I think he's going to have the Chiefs really ready to go, and it's going to be a hell of a game. I think the Chiefs are going to come out right away, punch them in the mouth. We're going to get to see some of these wide receivers make plays. Sky Moore could have a really good first game. Juju Smith-Schuster is my pick for tomorrow. I think he might have some surprising catches, and I want to see what MVS can do in this offense. But as well as guys like Isaiah Pacheco, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is finally going to come back, and we're going to get to see him hopefully fully healthy and ready to go. So, Dylan, I'm just excited to watch this offense tomorrow, and I'm also excited to watch the defense, but what are you most excited for?
I am most excited for the defense as well. I feel like there's a lot of new faces, but also I feel like that there's a lot more physicality, it seems, from the defense as far as the mentality goes. I'm excited to see that. Justin Reid had a great quote this week that said that he wants the other teams, when they put on the film, to feel like that they're going to have a physical football game on Sunday. And I think, we've seen him in the playoff game a couple of years ago. I'll never forget the hit he put on Tyreek Hill. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of that on the defense, and I'm really excited to see them maybe fly around and try and hit and set a tone.
I'm glad that you used the word physicality, because I think that's something the Chiefs' defense has lacked for so long.
Yes.
I don't want to say that Tyrann Mathieu refused to hit people, but Justin Reid is going to hit you with everything that he's got. Brian Cook, the rookie, he's going to put someone in the first row. Like, we have some guys like Leo Chenal, who he might not play tomorrow, but the Chiefs have some heavy hitters on that defense, and I think that, the youth movement on the Chiefs defense is going to be the most exciting factor, because right now we're looking at guys like George Karlaftis and Trent McDuffie and, like I said, Brian Cook. These guys are all in the first year of their team-friendly draft contracts, and so this is going to be our defensive pieces likely for the next 4 or 5 years. So I want to see these guys come out, kind of get those first reps out of the way. The preseason, they looked good, but this is week 1 of the NFL season. This is the game that actually matters. But I also think that, the Chiefs defense might struggle right away. We've seen in really the entire Spags tenure that his defenses are so complex that you cannot pick them up until like week 9 or 10. And by that time, it's like November and December. So I think that my expectations for the Chiefs defense aren't as high right away, but I think that they're going to grow into being a pretty good defensive unit. But tomorrow, what would you say are your expectations for the Chiefs defense?
My expectations tomorrow is hopefully just to get to hopefully gel, play together, learn how to play together. It's going to be tough early, I believe, just because all the new faces, and that's how defenses are. They're usually better when there's a bunch of continuity, many years together, especially from your leaders on the defense. So at least Chris Jones and Nick Bolton and Willie Gay have all been together for a long time. But it's going to be interesting to see the back end gel together, because none of those players I feel like have played it down with each other. If I'm correct, I feel like that probably is the accurate, since we did get rid of Charvarius, Hughes, basically everyone from the defensive backfield last year is gone now. So all these guys are playing their first game together with live action, and that's what I'm really looking forward to finding out, is how close they have become over training camp and maybe how much farther they have to go. Hopefully not very far. It seems like they played really well in preseason. But again, it's preseason, so that's why I'm excited, is because now we'll actually get to see live bullets, live reps, and what they can bring to the table.
Well, and these guys, I mean, they're very talented, but like you said, they have to play with each other for a while to get that chemistry, and there's so many moving parts. I mean, Justin Reed wasn't on this team last year, and like you said, the defensive backs are basically all new besides L'Jarius Sneed.
That's the one I know there was one.
Yeah, those guys are all new, and the Chiefs are going to have to go through some growing pains likely with that secondary, and really with all these rookies in the defense, because you can't expect rookies to be playing like veterans week one. So it's going to take some time. But luckily for the Chiefs, and specifically the Chiefs secondary, they don't have to face DeAndre Hopkins. And right now, Rondale Moore is out and Zach Ertz is questionable. So that's a couple offensive weapons that would give them potential headaches if they were playing. So that might allow some of those guys in the secondary to settle in.
Build confidence as well, which is very crucial for secondary players, especially young ones.
Oh, yeah. Like if you're a DB and you don't have confidence.
And it gets torched in the first game, too. It's not good.
You're not going to get very far. So I think that the Cardinals' injuries make it so the Chiefs have a little bit more breathing room on the defense. But I also think that switching over to the Chiefs' offense, right now, the Cardinals have two of their cornerbacks that are probably not going to play. Trayvon Mullen is out, and Byron Murphy Jr., the other cornerback, is questionable. And I think that that's really important to know, because Patrick Mahomes is going to pick those guys apart. Whoever their backups are, Patrick Mahomes is going to go right at them, throw to new guys like Sky Moore, Juju, MVS, and that's why I'm excited to see what those guys do tomorrow, because Patrick Mahomes will pick on the best weapons in the secondary, and now he's going to be going up against backups. So I think that's definitely something to look at.
Yeah, and what I think is going to come to fruition on Sunday is what's going to happen with our new offense. It's not going to be as much new. It's going to look very similar in the sense that you're going to have four wide. You're going to have a lot of receivers, shotgun sets. But I feel like it's going to be predicated on getting the football out very quickly, or just having 1 to 2 quick reads in maybe the flat or a button hook, things like that, when everyone's playing back to suck them up. Kind of like you saw with the Bills on Thursday night. It seemed like Josh Allen was kind of dinking and dunking for a while, and then as soon as the Rams pulled up, it was, bombs away. So I feel like Patrick's going to evolve to becoming more of a pocket passer that wants to suck the defense up to get the big play, versus I'm trying to get the big play every time, and if the flat's there, then I'll go there secondary. So that's what I feel like is going to happen, and I feel like that's going to actually make us a lot better. I feel like we're going to be more efficient while also taking more time off the clock and keeping our defense rested, and also making the other offense maybe press a little bit, because, oh no, it's still easy for them to move the football, but now they're just taking all of our time that we have on offense. So I'm going to have to press. I'm going to have to score every time I touch the football, and I might touch it 3 or 4 times in the first 3 quarters, because 8-minute drives are happening.
That's a really good point. In fact, that's actually one of my keys to the game. I think the Chiefs' offense is going to have to be more methodical and milk some clock. Like, we know that they can score in 15 seconds, and we saw them go the length of the football field in that divisional round and kick a field goal to tie the game. Like, they can score about as quickly as anybody can, I would argue, in NFL history. But I think that the Chiefs need to take more time on offense, go on these 7, 8, 9-minute drives where you are running the ball a little bit, where you're hitting the guys in the flat, and just taking some of those small checkdowns, because like you said, Dylan, that's going to open up the big play. And if the big play is open, Pat's going to find it, and he's going to connect. But you got to make them play our style. You know what I mean? Like, the Chiefs need to make the Cardinals play their style rather than the Chiefs having to play the Cardinals style of football. And I think that whoever can dictate the pace of this game is probably going to win it. But I think that right now the Chiefs are in a good position because they have the ability to take the deep stuff, And like you said, I really think they have the ability to take the checkdowns. And I wonder how much teams are going to change the way that they play the Chiefs defensively, because with no Tyreek Hill, I wonder if a lot of NFL teams out there are saying they don't have that deep threat anymore. They're not scared of Mecole Hardman. And I think that if they kind of go off their guard and come off of it, MVS has a deep threat level capability that a lot of guys don't have. And I think that he could be a guy that hurts some people. Maybe not this week, but definitely some weeks in the future.
Yeah, I agree. And to your point, with Tyreek, I don't think defenses ever were going to come up. No matter how many dink and dunks happened, they, in their game plan, in the meeting rooms when they were doing the game plan, it is probably rule number one that we don't care how many 5-yard outs he completes. We're not letting 10 get past us. Versus this year, like you said, there's not that level of respect. So when it is getting annoying on that other sideline that we're just, breaking off out routes for 5 yards every time wide open, they might not be as committed to that too high shell where they basically send those two safeties 50 yards down the field essentially to, like you said, cover MVS or Mecole. So I think that you'll have more shot plays available to you in single coverage because of that, because teams will get more tired, and then they don't have that, oh my God, I can't let Tyreek get behind us in the back of their mind. They don't even think about that because nobody really, and I think this is wrong because they both have great speed, but nobody respects them the same as Tyreek is in MVS and Mecole. But they should, and I think that that's what teams will actually probably find out in the first 3 weeks, that, okay, we still have to play them the same. And that'll kind of maybe hopefully show its colors on Sunday a little bit and get us some good chunk plays.
I think that NFL teams are quite all right with the Chiefs taking those 5-yard dink and dunks because they just don't want to get beat over the top.
Yes, but I also believe that they were so hyper-focused on Tyreek Hill that if you have two guys like MVS and Mecole, not only can you not do both and somehow you can't double all three of them and Travis. So they're going to definitely be more willing to leave them on the islands than Travis, instead of we'll leave Travis on the island instead of Tyreek.
Oh, yeah. I think Tyreek Hill being gone definitely affects the Chiefs a little, but I don't think it affects the Chiefs as much as people are saying.
I think that the amount of it negatively affects us, obviously, because he's a great player. But I feel like it positively affects us as well, enough to almost negate a lot of the negative effects losing Tyreek will bring. I feel like the positives are what we're talking about, where there's
just being
more
receivers.
Balanced. Yes, more diverse. You want your portfolios to be diverse. You want your receiving options to be diverse. When you can just double and then let everyone else go man-to-man, that's why you saw a lot of Patrick running all the time. Is because they're doubling Kelsey, they're doubling Tyreek, and then everyone else is open. There's a great NFL Films cut of Andy Reid saying it on the sideline during the AFC Championship in 2019. He's telling I think it's Tyrann Mathieu, he's telling, hey, when he's got double, you can run. You got double Tyreek, you got double Kelsey, everyone else is man-to-man. Their eyes aren't in the backfield. You're the open receiver. Whenever it's a cover 5. It's like any zone where you're where everyone's covered, then you're the open receiver as the quarterback, is what the saying is in the NFL.
And let Pat run. We see really on third downs, third and longs, that's when Pat breaks free and gets those first downs.
Yep.
But I think that...
And in the red zone as well.
Yeah, that too. But I wonder if we see a more polished offense from a efficiency standpoint, because he's got so many different people. I think Pat even said in a press conference that he apologizes to all the fantasy owners because it's going to be a new guy every single week. And I think that that's really beneficial for the Chiefs offense. And really quickly, let's get into some of the keys of the game. I mentioned one of them is just controlling the clock and milking more time on offense. The Chiefs can score quickly. We know this. But I think that if they can take, let's say, 8 or 9 minute drives, they're going to be a better team. I think that they are still one of the best offenses in the NFL. The question is going to be, do they step on their own feet? And I don't think that they're going to do that tomorrow, but as long as they're efficient, they're probably going to win this game. I also believe that they got to punch the Cardinals in the mouth early. Again, they're capable of doing this. The question is going to be, can they do it efficiently? My final key to the game is to attack the Cardinals secondary. I talked about that in a little bit with Dylan, and I think that if the Chiefs can attack the Cardinals secondary, because they right now are potentially without their two cornerbacks, that's going to be a problem for the Cardinals. And so I think that if the Chiefs offense can be efficient, score quickly, punch them in the mouth to begin the game, and then attack that secondary, they're going to be really, really good and have a chance to win this game. Defensively, get off the football field. We don't need our defense on the field for 10 minutes straight. And I think that if we don't have a ton of missed tackles with all these rookies, I'll call that a success. Dylan, do you have any keys to the game?
My keys to the game is probably just to not become uncommitted to the run, no matter what happens. I am such a proponent, a mouthpiece for running the football because we don't do it often enough, I believe. And I feel like that's why we are, maybe a little easier to stop sometimes later in the season because we don't commit to running the football when it's cold out and people don't like to be tackling the running backs all the time, the whole game. That's why Derrick Henry gets better as the season goes on. That's why all these good running backs and good running teams seem to dominate in the colder months. So I want to see us become a balanced football team. I don't like the RPOs. I don't like that type of offense. I like the Sean McVay, the Kyle Shanahan type zone running scheme. The Patriots are starting to do that now. I believe that we're going to start to do that as well. That's what I think. I think that's why we drafted Isaiah Pacheco. I think that's why our line's a little bigger and maybe not a pass blocking type of line. It seems like Orlando Brown Jr. was in a run-based offense. Joe Tooney was as well. Creed Humphrey ran the Oklahoma offense, which was a lot of running as well. And Trey Smith's in the SEC. So I feel like you have a good team for running the football and being balanced. I just want to see us commit to that.
Yeah, even just commit a little bit more. It's not like we're asking for 75-25.
I think 60-40, either or, whatever the game calls for, is great. That is great balance. Because obviously you're not going to be 50-50. No one is. And that's not how game plans work. Either team is susceptible to the pass or the run, but you still have to balance it out.
It's going to make Pat better, too, because teams are going to be like, oh, shoot, is Pacheco going to get this first down on 2nd and 8?
Exactly.
Like, that is the kind of...
Light boxes is what we saw all last year, especially in the second half of that Bengals game when we ditched the run, when McKinnon was running for 8 yards a clip, it felt like in the first half. So I just want us to be completely committed to balanced football this year.
Yeah, and I think, with Andy Reid, it's hard to find that balance, but I think that we're just asking for a little bit more of it.
Yeah.
And I'm not necessarily on this hype train about Isaiah Pacheco being the next Kareem Hunt. I think that's kind of foolish. But if he's as good as you guys are saying he is, then we should have something, especially with the zone running schemes and just getting him into space.
He doesn't even have to be Kareem Hunt. What he just has to do is every time we hand him the football and there's a light box, he runs downhill with some of the best of our running backs that we have right now. I think he might be the best at just straight up taking the football and running downhill. And it showed at that last preseason game and in the Commanders game as well that when they expected us to pass and we did a draw play to him, there was the holes the size of I-70. And I think that that's what you're going to see until, again, you bring them up, you bring more in the box, and then that opens up the downfield. That opens up the passing plays. So Isaiah Pacheco doesn't have to be Kareem Hunt. None of them do. How many great running backs did the Patriots have all those years with Tom Brady?
Not many.
I think Corey Dillon was probably one of the best, then LeGarrette Blount maybe after that.
A lot of it comes down to scheme.
And it's all scheme. And it's not, you don't need a great bell cow. You just need a bunch of great running backs when you have a great quarterback.
Of
and
course.
You need to use them as well. So Isaiah Pacheco, if he's not Kareem Hunt, if he's not the greatest thing that we've ever drafted, let's not freak out. He's a rookie. He's also a 7th rounder. And also, he's going to be learning. So that's the good thing, too, about where he's at, is that he doesn't have to be the number one guy because we have so many guys. We have Jerick McKinnon. We have Clyde, who we're committed to because we gave it's a first-round pick. So obviously they're going to try and do their best to make him pop. So Isaiah Pacheco is actually in a really good spot where really the only expectations that are probably being put on him are from the fans.
Yeah, I would agree. So, Dylan, before we wrap this up, you want to hit us with your money picks? Because now sports betting is legal in Kansas. So.
It is. It is. And I've, it's like drinking in college or high school. We don't do it until we're 21.
Exactly.
Wink, wink, nudge,
exactly.
nudge. So what I have put together here, Michael, is some, I wouldn't call them locks of the century, but I really feel confident in these. And they're also not game picks for the Chiefs. I refuse to pick the Chiefs, whether to win or lose. I just don't want to be upset twice if they lose because I'll bet on them and then I'll lose money and they lose. So what I did was I got a couple props from the game.
Perfect.
And there are a couple quarterback props as well. The first one is for Kyler Murray. It's a rushing prop, and I'm taking his rushing over. His number is 36.5, and that's minus 113. The reason why I think this is going to play out is because when we play zone, which we predominantly play zone, like I said earlier, when nobody's open, you're the open receiver as the quarterback. And Kyler, while we want to win, he's a great runner, and he's a really hard player to tackle. And he's a run-first quarterback sometimes, especially when his first couple reads aren't usually open and he sees a big lane. He's going to take that lane. He's going to take that lane immediately, and I think that rushing over is going to hit.
I would take the over, too. I think
it's very low for Kyler Murray, I feel like. And I took Josh Allen's rushing over, and he had 52. It was set at 36 on Thursday night.
Yeah, I'm hammering the over. Kyler's going to have over 36 rushing yards.
Here's my Chiefs one. My pro Chiefs pick, even though it's not a game pick, it is a prop pick again. I have Patrick Mahomes, anytime touchdown scorer. It is plus 280 right now. How many times, like I just said, again, when no one's open, you are the open receiver. How many times do we see him scamper in the goal-to-go situations for a touchdown?
Yeah.
Because everyone's covered. So Patrick Mahomes, anytime touchdown is a great hit at 280, great value, and I feel like that's almost a lock because he always does a little corner of the end zone scamper.
I don't know about that one. I don't know if I'm going to take that. I don't know if he's going to have a rushing TD tomorrow. I would feel very confident about him hitting Kelsey tomorrow, but I wouldn't necessarily say that he is probably going to score himself. I think that's something that usually happens middle of the season when he breaks free and gets into the end zone.
Question, did he score a rushing touchdown in the Browns game last year, first week?
I think, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's not as much that someone can't, it's that they have such a, DEFCON 1 when it gets in the red zone that everyone's going to be covered.
True.
And then he takes off. He finds a hole in the pressure, and then all of a sudden everyone's got their back to him, and he's already got a step on him. So that's where I'm betting. You could be right. It might be why it might be why it's plus 280. But I'm gonna go out on the limb there.
It's not a bad bet at all. I just personally, I don't think he's gonna have a rushing touchdown tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. And then here's my 3 game picks because I do like picking games. I don't pick the Chiefs. I like to just sit there and watch it as a fan. But the first game that I'm picking is the Houston Texans plus 7.5. Shaquille Leonard is out for the Colts right now. Matt Ryan with a brand new offense and a division game. I feel like 7.5 points is too much, especially for a somewhat decent Texans team. I would say that they're not going to really compete for anything, but they're not a team that you can sleep on or come in with a lackadaisical approach to because they beat some good teams last year, and Davis Mills was a rookie last year. And the building was on fire too.
Yeah.
So I think division games, whenever you get a lot of points, that's something, as we know as Chiefs fans, I mean, we played the Broncos close last year. They weren't a playoff team, every other team, and we lost to the Chargers. The Raiders, I can't really include. We killed them twice. But so that's my first one.
Really quickly, the Colts also, I believe, lost to the Texans last year.
That is correct.
And
the Jaguars at the end of the season.
And they always start off slow. So taking the Texans in that game, I don't think is a bad pick.
And that is a minus 118, too. So that's not a... Obviously, that's the Vegas thinks that's obviously a possibility. That's where they set the line. So the next one is a little bit of an alternate line, a little alternate spread that you're going to get some plus money on. but it's a good one to do because it's the Baltimore Ravens playing the New York Jets and Joe Flacco as well. So Lamar's coming off being basically denied at the altar for a contract extension, and this is his first week to kind of show what he's worth. The Baltimore Ravens are just a better franchise than the Jets. I think that the 6 points, you get 3 points at home for being the home team. It's in New York, and they have 6 points. I'm willing to bump it up to 9 to get the odds to be plus 120. So even still, Vegas thinks that they don't want to go over plus 200 at that. They think that that's a high possibility. So Baltimore Ravens, if you can get the alternate spread, minus 9.5. The last one, and this is one that I am very out on a limb, but I put it in after I watched the game Thursday night because I saw such a lack of offensive explosion from the Rams, who lost their offensive coordinator to this team, in the Minnesota Vikings, who I have at an alternate spread of minus 2.5. The reason why I did the alternate spread is because the real spread is 1.5. If you have faith in that, you can bump it down to 2.5 for plus 115 money instead of minus money. So I have the Minnesota Vikings minus 2.5 against the Green Bay Packers. They are at home. They have Zadarius Smith on their team, who had bad blood with the Packers as he left. He is healthy for the first week like everyone is, so I'm not going to be swayed by his past because everyone feels great week 1, so you're almost kind of your old self in a way for 1 week at least. So I'm going to go with the Vikings to shock the Packers because they also start slow as well.
Well, Dylan, I really like this segment, this new segment that we're trying out, because quite honestly, I don't really understand sports betting, and I need to because, I know how the spread works to an extent about, over or under and money line, but, I'm still learning. It's just now legal in Kansas, so.
Well, let me tell you a little lesson. The worst thing to do for your bets is to put them out on air.
Yeah,
so,
well,
we will see how I do.
There's no wood in here.
They felt great when I entered them in. Now saying them out loud, I know I'm cursing them, but I still feel great about all those picks. And yeah, it's a fun thing, and I'm glad it's legal now because a lot of people like yourself will kind of be able to get into it and make some money off of your knowledge of the game.
Certainly. So really quickly before we get out of here, because we have like 2 minutes, I want to hear your final score predictions for Chiefs at Cardinals. I personally have 35-24 Chiefs winning this game. I think the Chiefs offense is going to come out, light it on fire. The defense is going to be pretty good for the first 3 quarters. They might give up a couple cheap touchdowns in the fourth, but I think the Chiefs win this game comfortably. They'll be coasting for most of it. 35-24, Chiefs on top. How about you?
So I'm going to go kind of close to that. I'm going to go 31-23. I'm going to go that it's a little close at the end. I think that we are in control, and then they end up kind of getting a late score to make it an 8-point game.
Very fair. So, Dylan, I do appreciate you joining me in this video. You guys can follow me on Instagram. That is KC_Sports Report. Twitter is at KC Sports Report. Go check out the website. That is kcsportsreport.com. This video is being recorded from the Sports Radio 810 WHB studios. Until tomorrow, guys, thank you for watching this video, and go Chiefs.